The golden age of humanity had finally arrived. The year was 2157, and Earth's first faster-than-light ship, the Star Voyager, had just completed its maiden journey to Alpha Centauri. The achievement caught the attention of the Galactic Council, a powerful group of 12 advanced alien civilizations that govern most of the known galaxy. The Council's arrival was spectacular. Their massive ships appeared in Earth's orbit one morning, their silver hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Humans watched in awe as representatives from each council race descended to Earth in ships that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The council members varied in appearance. Some looked almost human, while others were utterly alien, from crystalline beings to creatures of pure energy contained in special suits. Tom Baker, Earth's senior ambassador, led the human delegation at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The meeting hall buzzed with excitement as alien diplomats took their seats. The council's high speaker, a tall being with iridescent skin named First Light, stepped forward to address the assembly. Humanity, First Light announced, his translator converting his musical language into Earth's many tongues. We welcome you to the galactic community. Your achievement of faster-than-light travel marks you as an advanced civilization worthy of joining our ranks. The next few months were filled with incredible developments. The Council shared some of their basic technologies: better medical equipment, more efficient energy systems, and improved communication devices. Earth's economy boomed, and for the first time in history, poverty began to decrease dramatically across the planet. But not everything was as it seemed. Deep within the Council's massive space station, hidden from human observers, 6 of the 12 council members met in secret. They gathered in a chamber shielded from all known forms of surveillance. "These humans worry me," said Morning Frost, a crystalline being who led the council's military division. "Their rate of advancement is unprecedented. It took them merely 2 centuries to progress from primitive combustion engines to faster-than-light travel." "Indeed," agreed Shadow Weaver, a beam of pure darkness. "Our analysis shows they will surpass our technological level within 3 centuries if they continue at this pace. They breed quickly, adapt faster, and their creativity. It's almost frightening." The secret meeting continued for hours. They reviewed human history, the wars, the rapid technological advancement, the relentless expansion across their own planet. The 6 council members saw not a promising young civilization, but a potential threat that needed to be eliminated before it could challenge their power. They planned carefully. A quantum cascade weapon, forbidden by galactic law, would be modified to target Earth's specific atomic frequency. The weapon would cause every atom of the planet to collapse in on itself, turning Earth into a dense ball of matter no larger than a small moon. The attack would be blamed on a known terrorist group, the Starbreakers, who had attacked council worlds before. But they didn't account for Jack Reed, a human maintenance worker on the council station. While fixing a ventilation system, he overheard fragments of their conversation through a crack in the chamber shielding. Despite his fear, Jack knew he had to act. He contacted Admiral Robert Stone, commander of Earth's new Space Defense Force. Stone was initially skeptical, but he had always been cautious about the Council's seemingly generous welcome. He quietly began preparing evacuation ships, converting cargo vessels into passenger carriers, and stockpiling supplies. He knew they couldn't save everyone. There wasn't enough time or ships, but he could save some. The Council struck 3 days later. The quantum cascade weapon appeared through a wormhole near the moon. Before Earth's defense systems could react, it fired a beam of sickly green energy. The effect was instantaneous. The beautiful blue marble that had been humanity's cradle for millions of years collapsed with devastating speed. But Admiral Stone was ready. As Earth died, 50 massive ships loaded with refugees jumped to faster-than-light speed, disappearing into the depths of space. The Council's sensors, focused on confirming Earth's destruction, barely noticed them leaving. Humanity had just experienced its greatest tragedy. But unknown to the Council, this was not the end of the human story. It was merely the beginning of a 3,000-year journey toward justice. The fleet of 50 ships carried humanity's last hope into the darkness of space. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of the flagship Legacy, watching the emergency jump drives charge up. Behind them, where Earth had once been, there was nothing but a dense sphere of collapsed matter the size of a small moon. "All ships report ready, sir," said Lieutenant Anna West, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. Every person aboard had just watched their home world die, but they had no time to mourn. "Execute emergency jump now," Stone ordered. The experimental wormhole drives activated simultaneously across all 50 ships. The technology was new, barely tested, but they had no choice. Council warships would be arriving soon to check for survivors. The jump was violent. The ships shuddered as they tore through space, pushing the drives far beyond their designed limits. Emergency alarms blared throughout the fleet as the wormhole became unstable. When they finally emerged, nothing looked familiar. "Navigation systems are completely fried," Technical Officer James Moore reported, his fingers flying over the controls. "The jump scrambled our position data. I can't tell where we are relative to Earth or Council space." Admiral Stone nodded grimly. "Maybe that's for the best. The Council won't find us if we don't even know where we are." The fleet drifted through unknown space for 3 months. Their supplies, meant for an orderly evacuation, began running low. The 50,000 survivors, scientists, soldiers, teachers, children, and people from all walks of life, tried to maintain hope. They converted cargo bays into hydroponic gardens and recycled every drop of water. Hope came on day 94. They found a star system with a single massive planet, an ice world with a thick atmosphere. Scans showed it was brutally cold on the surface, but there was something else. "The scans show huge cave systems under the ice," reported Dr. Lisa Reed, head of the scientific team. "And they're warm, relatively speaking. Geothermal activity keeps them at just above freezing. We could survive there." The planet wasn't perfect, but it was their best option. They named it Haven, and the work began immediately. The ships landed on the thick ice sheets, using their hulls as the first buildings of their new colony. Teams of engineers and construction workers began carving out the ice caves, expanding them using mining equipment saved from Earth. The first year was the hardest. They lost 3,000 people to accidents, cold, and illness. But humans proved their greatest strength, the ability to adapt. They learned to farm in artificially lit caverns, to mine the planet's rich mineral deposits, and to build new power systems that tapped into Haven's geothermal energy. Admiral Stone stepped down as military leader and became the first governor of Haven. "We aren't just survivors anymore," he told the people in a speech 1 year after landing. "We are the seeds of a new human civilization. Our children will grow up in these caves, but they will know about Earth. They will learn our history, our culture, and yes, they will learn about our betrayal. We will grow stronger here, in secret, and one day we will return." The Admiral's words became Haven's founding doctrine. The community set up schools where Earth's history and knowledge were carefully preserved. Scientists continued their work, pushing technology forward with the limited resources they had. Military training became mandatory for all citizens, not just for defense, but to preserve the skills they would need for their eventual return. As the second year on Haven began, the first child was born in the ice caves. They named her Hope, and her birth was celebrated throughout the colony. She represented something powerful, proof that humanity would continue, would grow, would thrive. Looking at the newborn, Governor Stone whispered the words that would become Haven's sacred motto: "We survive. We remember. We return." 3,000 years changed humanity in ways no one could have predicted. The ice caves of Haven grew into a vast underground civilization, with cities carved deep into the planet's crust. The original 50,000 survivors had become a thriving population of 20 million, all united by their ancestral memory of Earth's destruction. The first major breakthrough came in 2257, just 100 years after their arrival. Dr. Emma Reed, great-granddaughter of the original Dr. Lisa Reed, discovered a way to harness Haven's unique mineral crystals. These crystals, when properly processed, could store human consciousness. The technology meant that death was no longer permanent. A human mind could be transferred to a new body when the old one failed. This isn't just about living longer, Dr. Reed explained to Haven's council. This is about keeping our best minds, our experiences, our memories alive until we're ready to return. The next breakthrough came in military technology. The harsh conditions of Haven forced scientists to think differently about energy and matter. They developed quantum phase shifting, a technology that could make entire ships vanish from normal space. These ships could pass through solid matter, becoming completely undetectable. Commander John Stone, from the 5th generation of the Stone family, led the first test of a phase-shifted ship. "When we return," he said, "the Council won't even see us coming." By the year 2557, Haven had expanded into a network of 12 massive underground cities, connected by high-speed magnetic trains that ran through tunnels in the ice. Each city specialized in different areas. New Washington focused on government and planning, while Atlas City became the center of military development. Haven's children were born into a world of advanced technology, but they never forgot their heritage. Every citizen of Haven learned Earth's history from birth. Special memory crystals preserved the actual memories of the original survivors, allowing new generations to experience Earth's beauty and its destruction firsthand. This created an unbreakable bond between the past and present. The biggest change came in 3057, just 100 years before their planned return. Scientists perfected gravitic weapons, devices that could manipulate gravity itself. These weapons could tear apart space-time, creating localized black holes that would swallow anything in their path. "We now have the power to destroy entire planets," said Chief Scientist Mark West to Haven's military council. "But we won't. We're not like them. These weapons are our shield, not our sword." Haven's society had evolved too. The harsh environment and shared purpose created a unified culture unlike anything on old Earth. There was no poverty, no war among themselves, no political divisions. Everyone worked toward the single goal of return and justice. They built massive shipyards in caverns beneath Haven's ice sheets. The Ghost Fleet, as they called it, comprised 5,000 ships equipped with phase shift technology and gravitic weapons. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering, more advanced than anything the Council had ever seen. Medical science had also progressed remarkably. The average human could now live for 300 years, even without consciousness transfer. Their bodies were stronger, adapted to Haven's heavy gravity. Their minds were sharper, enhanced by neural interfaces that connected them to Haven's vast knowledge network. In 3157, exactly 3,000 years after Earth's destruction, Haven's leaders gathered in the Great Chamber of Remembrance. The chamber's walls were made of memory crystals, each one containing the story of a family who had survived Earth's destruction. Governor Marcus Stone, the 45th leader of Haven and direct descendant of Admiral Robert Stone, stood before the assembled citizens. Their civilization had grown far beyond what their ancestors could have imagined. They had taken humanity's greatest tragedy and turned it into the catalyst for incredible advancement. "The time has come," he announced, his voice carried to every city in Haven. "We are ready. Operation Return begins now." The Ghost Fleet emerged from phase shift at the edge of Council space. 5,000 ships, each a masterpiece of human engineering, appeared like dark shadows against the stars. On the bridge of the flagship, Earth's Memory, Commander Marcus Stone watched the holographic display of Council territory. "Status report," Stone ordered, his voice calm despite the weight of history on his shoulders. "All ships report ready," replied Captain Laura West. "Phase shift systems are at full power. Our stealth systems show no signs of detection by Council sensors." The first phase of Operation Return was simple: Gather intelligence. The Ghost Fleet split into smaller groups, each targeting different sectors of Council space. Using their phase shift technology, they could pass right through the Council's defense systems undetected. Stone's ship approached the Council's capital world, a planet called Prime. In 3,000 years, the Council had grown larger. 20 species now sat on the Council instead of the original 12. Their civilization sprawled across thousands of worlds. They'd grown soft, observed Intelligence Officer Alex Reed, studying the data streams. Their military ships are practically antiques compared to ours. They haven't faced a real threat in centuries. The Council's main city on Prime was a sprawling metropolis of crystal towers and floating platforms. Stone's ship drifted invisible above it, recording everything. They watched Council ships come and go, their outdated engines leaving easily traceable energy trails. Accessing their information network now, reported Communications Officer Ben Miller. Thanks to 3,000 years of technological advancement, breaking into the Council's secure networks was surprisingly easy. What they found was interesting. The Council had become bureaucratic and corrupt. The stronger species bullied the weaker ones. Many worlds were thinking about rebellion but were too afraid to act. Earth's destruction was taught in schools as a cautionary tale, a reminder of what happened to species that grew too ambitious. "They made us into a warning story," Stone said, his voice tight with anger. "They use our genocide to keep others in line." But there was something else in the data. 3 of the Council species, the Luminars, the Crystal Minds, and the Star Shapers, had opposed Earth's destruction. Records showed they had tried to warn humanity, but were stopped by the others. For 3,000 years, they had carried the guilt of their failure. Stone sent scout teams to dozens of Council worlds. They gathered more information, observed the daily lives of different species, and studied the Council's military capabilities. The data painted a clear picture. The Council was far weaker than they had imagined. "Look at this," said Captain West, highlighting a section of the capital's defenses. "Their strongest weapons are less powerful than what we had on Haven 500 years ago. They stopped innovating. They thought they were safe." After a month of observation, Stone called all ship commanders for a secure meeting. Their holograms gathered in a virtual conference room, representing ships spread across Council space. "The Council has grown weak," Stone began. "They rule through fear, not strength. Many of their member species secretly hate them. The moment we strike, their alliance will begin to crack." The commanders discussed their findings. The Council's military was spread thin. Their technology had barely advanced. They had no defenses against phase shifting or gravitic weapons. They were completely unprepared for what was coming. "Begin Phase 2, Stone ordered. "Target their outlying military bases first. No civilian targets. We're here for justice, not revenge." As the meeting ended, Stone looked at the hologram of Prime one last time. In a few days, the Council's comfortable world would be shattered. Humanity's children were home, and they had not forgotten. "Send the signal to all ships," he commanded. "Operation Return is now active. May Earth's memory guide our hands." The first attack came without warning. The Council's largest military base in the Centauri sector simply disappeared. One moment it was there, monitoring space traffic as it had for centuries. The next moment, a small black hole appeared in its place, swallowing the entire station and its defense fleet. "Report from Strike Team Alpha," Captain West announced on the bridge of Earth's memory. "Target eliminated. No civilian casualties. No survivors to reveal our presence." Similar reports came in from across Council space. Military installations, weapons factories, and defense platforms vanished one by one. The Council's military leaders couldn't explain what was happening. Their sensors detected nothing before each attack. There were no enemy ships, no energy signatures, no warnings at all. On Prime, the Council called an emergency meeting. The chamber was filled with the representatives of 20 species, all demanding answers. 37 military bases destroyed in 7 days, First speaker Lightbringer announced, his crystalline form flickering with anxiety. Our best ships vanish without a trace. We are under attack, but we cannot see our enemy. The Council's military commander, War Master Thundervoice, stepped forward. We've doubled our patrols. We've activated our oldest defense systems, but we're fighting shadows. The enemy ships appear and disappear at will. Our weapons pass right through them. In the back of the chamber, the representatives of the Luminars, Crystal Mines, and Star Shapers exchanged knowing looks. They recognized the pattern. Only one species had shown such creativity, such tactical brilliance, but they had destroyed that species 3,000 years ago, hadn't they? Meanwhile, the Ghost Fleet continued its campaign. Commander Stone coordinated attacks from Earth's memory, striking key military targets across Council space. The phase shift technology made their ships completely invisible and untouchable. The gravitic weapons ignored all defenses, creating miniature black holes that left nothing behind. Another weapons facility eliminated, reported Officer Miller. Council military strength is down to 40% and falling. The Council's response was exactly what Stone had predicted. They began accusing each other of sabotage. Old rivalries surfaced. Trust between species broke down. Some began withdrawing their ships to protect their own worlds, leaving others defenseless. Trade between Council worlds slowed to a crawl. No ship captain wanted to risk encountering the mysterious attackers. The Council's economy began to suffer. Their carefully maintained order was crumbling. "Look at their communications," said Intelligence Officer Reed, monitoring Council transmissions. The smaller species are starting to question the Council's authority. They're asking why their mighty leaders can't protect them. Stone watched the chaos spread with grim satisfaction. But he was waiting for something specific. The Luminars, Crystal Mines, and Star Shapers had been meeting in secret. Their guilt over Earth's destruction had eaten at them for 3,000 years. Now, faced with an unstoppable enemy, they were close to breaking their silence. "Sir," Captain West called out, "we're detecting a coded transmission from the Luminar homeworld. They're requesting contact with the Ghost Fleet." Stone smiled. This was what they had been waiting for. These three species could help turn public opinion across Council space. Their confession would reveal the Council's greatest crime to the galaxy. "Prepare a secure channel," Stone ordered. "It's time to give them a chance to right an ancient wrong." As his crew worked to establish the connection, Stone looked at the holographic display of Council space. Dozens of red dots marked their successful strikes. The Council's military power was crippled. Their political alliance was fracturing, and they still had no idea who was attacking them. 3,000 years ago, they turned humanity into a warning story, Stone said quietly. Now we're going to turn their whole empire into dust. The Council chamber erupted in chaos as the Luminar representative, Lightbearer, took the speaker's platform. Behind him stood the leaders of the Crystal Mines and Star Shapers. 3,000 years of silence was about to end. "We can no longer hide the truth," Lightbearer announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The attacks we face today are the consequence of our greatest crime. The Council's darkest secret must be revealed." Security forces moved to stop him, but they froze in place as 3 Ghost Fleet ships phased into existence inside the chamber itself. The ships hovered silently, their weapons ready but not firing. The message was clear. Lightbearer would be heard. 3,000 years ago, this Council committed genocide. Lightbearer continued, "We destroyed Earth. We murdered billions of humans, not because they were a threat, but because we feared what they might become." The chamber fell silent. Billions of beings across Council space watched the broadcast as Lightbearer revealed everything. The secret meetings, the illegal weapon, the murder of an entire planet. The Crystal Mines and Star Shapers added their own testimony, providing proof that had been hidden for millennia. On thousands of worlds, people watched in horror as the truth emerged. The Council, which had claimed to protect galactic civilization, had destroyed an entire species out of fear. The humans they had been taught to fear as ambitious barbarians were actually victims of the Council's treachery. "The ghost fleet that strikes our military bases," the crystal-mind elder announced, "is humanity's children, returned after 3,000 years. They survived. They'd rebuilt. And now they have come for justice." As if on cue, ghost fleet ships appeared above every major council world. They didn't fire, didn't attack. They simply appeared, demonstrating their complete control of council space. The message was clear. Resistance was pointless. The council collapsed within hours. The species that had ordered Earth's destruction found themselves abandoned by their allies. Their own people turned against them, horrified by the revelation of such ancient evil. Commander Stone watched from Earth's memory as the Council's authority crumbled. 3,000 years of planning had led to this moment. The truth had done what weapons alone could not. It had destroyed the Council's legitimacy forever. "Incoming transmission," reported Officer Miller. "The Luminar fleet is powering down their weapons. The Crystal Mines and Star Shapers are doing the same. More ships are following their lead." Across council space, military vessels stood down. There was no point in fighting. The Ghost Fleet's technology was too advanced, and now, with the truth revealed, there was nothing left to defend. "Message from Lightbearer," Captain West announced. He says they're ready to face justice for their crimes. They ask only that we show more mercy than their predecessors did." Stone thought about Haven, about the ice caves where humanity had rebuilt their civilization. He thought about the memories preserved in crystals, the stories of Earth passed down through generations. They had waited 3,000 years for this moment. "Send word to all Ghost Fleet ships," Stone ordered. "Phase 2 is complete. Prepare for Phase 3. The council chamber was silent now, most representatives having flowed in shame or fear. Only the Luminars, Crystal Mines, and Star Shapers remained, along with a few others who had not been part of the ancient crime. "Your civilization will be judged," Stone's hologram announced to them. "But unlike you, we will ensure that justice is served, not vengeance." As dawn broke over Prime, the galaxy's power structure had changed forever. The mighty council, which had ruled for 10,000 years, had been broken not by weapons, but by the truth of its own crimes. 1 month after the council's fall, representatives from every spacefaring species gathered at the coordinates where Earth once stood. The Ghost Fleet surrounded the meeting place, their ships now visible to all. In the center of the fleet, a massive construction project was underway. Commander Stone stood on the bridge of Earth's memory, watching as the final pieces of the memorial came together. The structure was beautiful. A massive sphere of quantum-locked crystal that would last until the end of the universe itself. Inside it, holographic displays showed Earth as it once was. Its blue oceans, green forests, and white clouds frozen in time. "The quantum lock is stable," reported Technical Officer Moore. "The memorial will remain here forever, untouched by time or space." The gathered representatives watched in awe as the memorial activated. Its crystal surface began displaying names, billions of names, each one a human who had died when Earth was destroyed. The names would cycle continuously, ensuring that every victim would be remembered. Stone's voice carried across all communication channels as he addressed the gathered species. 3,000 years ago, humanity was nearly destroyed by fear. Today we return not to destroy, but to rebuild. He outlined humanity's plan. The Council would be replaced by a new galactic alliance, where all species would have equal voice. Haven's advanced technology would be shared, but under strict controls to prevent its misuse. The species responsible for Earth's destruction would face justice, but not extinction. "We remembered our past," Stone continued, "but we also remembered our humanity. True strength lies not in revenge, but in justice, not in destruction, but in creation." The Luminars, Crystal Mines, and Star Shapers were granted amnesty for their role in revealing the truth. Their millennia of guilt and their final act of courage had earned them a place in the new order. Other species, seeing humanity's restraint, pledged their support to the Alliance. Back on Haven, the ice caves were open to visitors for the first time. Representatives from across the galaxy walked through the underground cities, seeing how humanity had survived and thrived. They saw the memory crystals that preserved Earth's history, the schools where children learned their heritage, and the determination that had driven every advancement. "Your people did all this while living under ice," a young Luminar diplomat said to Stone as they toured Haven's capital. "You turned exile into triumph." The trials of those responsible for Earth's destruction began a week later. The proceedings were broadcast across the galaxy. Unlike their predecessors, the accused would receive fair trials and face justice rather than vengeance. Their punishment would be to help rebuild what their ancestors had tried to destroy. Stone stood at the memorial again, months after its creation. The names of Earth's dead continued their eternal cycle across its surface. A group of children from different species had gathered for a history lesson, learning about Earth and the price of fear. "We thought destroying Earth would make us safe," Lightbearer said, standing beside Stone. "Instead, it made us weak. We stopped advancing because we thought we had eliminated our only real competition." "And now?" Stone asked. "Now we move forward together," Lightbearer replied. "Your people showed us a better way." The Ghost Fleet was transformed into an Alliance peacekeeping force, its advanced technology now protecting all species equally. Haven became a center of learning, where representatives from every world came to study and exchange ideas. The phase shift technology that had made the fleet invisible was adapted to help ships navigate dangerous regions of space. As Stone watched the children learning about Earth, he thought about the long journey that had led to this moment. Humanity had survived extinction, crossed the gulf of space, and rebuilt their civilization. They had returned with the power to destroy their enemies, but chose instead to create something new. The memorial would stand forever, reminding future generations of both humanity's greatest tragedy and its greatest triumph: the choice of justice over vengeance, of hope over fear.